What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Horizon Forbidden West sales, talking about where are they, talking about what they could be, and kind of the worries around them. So that's kind of been a main story ever since Elden Ring. Let's not lie, right? Let's not beat around the bush. Ever since Elden Ring came out, there's been a lot of talk about, obviously, battling the two, and we've talked about the battle between these two games before in multiple different videos on this channel. But in terms of sales for Horizon, it is odd. So I'm recording this on March 9th, just for context. I hope I can get this video out relatively soon in terms of days after I record it, but I'm, just to let you guys know when I'm recording it. And we haven't heard any, official number yet. And it's a little worrying, although not maybe like the end of the world worrying, but it is something to at least talk about, right? And one thing I do want to say, probably before I get too far in, because I'm sure people are going to say, you're this, you're that. Horizon's my game of the year. I continue to play Horizon. I put in, at the time of recording this, almost 30 hours into the game. I love it to death. It's my game of the year. So take that however you want, but don't call me, a PlayStation hater or Horizon hater, considering I just said that. But this is something pretty interesting to talk about because historically, not just Sony, but Microsoft, Nintendo, Square Enix, EA, all of these studios, right? They like to gloat about sales. And I mean, that's not actually a negative. Maybe that comes across negative, but I mean, it's literally what they all do. It's not actually a negative. They like to say, hey, we sold this many units in the first week, in the first couple days, in the first 2 weeks, in the first month. And they like to do that, obviously, for games that are successful, right? And I guess what I want to make pretty clear, though, is I don't think it's the be-all, end-all. I don't think it's the only one way that these companies operate. I'm not saying they've never done it a different way, right? Because we're approaching right now 3 weeks of Horizon being out. I honestly thought we would hear something about this game 1 to 2 weeks after it came out, because you look to The Last of Us, I think even Ghost of Tsushima, I know Spider-Man, God of War, these are all games that Sony just immediately, I think The Last of Us, right, sold 3.3 million in the first 3 or 4 days, and that was a huge statistic. That was record breaking, or a tied, or it was up in the top 3. It was hot. I guess to not get too battered down in what placeholder these are all going in, it was a big deal. The game sold insane immediately, and so Sony said it. They said it out loud. Hey, here's how much the game did. Now we know in the first week, Horizon seemed to have crushed it everywhere. It's we've heard from all over the place in terms of even physical editions. We saw a story in the UK talking about physical editions. I think the second highest physical edition sales for a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And sometimes the criteria is a little too specific for my liking, right? Which kind of makes it a little confusing. But I guess the general point is this. I don't think Elden Ring has hurt Horizon as much as people think it does, okay? Now, that could very well be wrong, though. That's literally just my opinion on it. Now, there was an article from The Gamer, and this was sent to me from GNC, and they kind of break it down in terms of, again, it's very specific. Elden Ring basically passed Horizon in the UK sales chart. So Horizon was number 1, and that says, while initially going strong, Horizon Forbidden West has seen its sales drop by 80% following the launch of the fellow open world title Elden Ring. This comes from UK charts for both physical and digital sales. The figures put Horizon in 3rd place in digital sales, behind the From Software game Elden Ring and FIFA 22. Now, the thing is, though, and then they say it's also selling 2.5 more than Horizon. Now, from the article, they provide no proof whatsoever about the actual numbers. So I don't know how they, and then they say the full sales chart, digital and physical, for the last week is as follows: Elden Ring, Horizon, FIFA. So Horizon's second there. So there's no evidence of 80% or 2.5 times the sale. So I don't, yes, Elden Ring was selling more, but that doesn't mean Horizon dropped 80%. I don't know where they got that numbers, and I don't want to spend too much time on that because maybe it's been proven elsewhere. And if you guys find it, you can definitely tell me I'm wrong in the comments. That's totally cool. I actually kind of want to see where that statistic came from. But if that is true, then yes, I guess that is definitely a statistic that shows, okay, Horizon did really well week 1, and then it kind of fell off a cliff. But again, it's only in the UK, which, I mean, I guess US would maybe reflect UK, right? I would imagine that that's true. I guess another point I want to try to make is these games do well over time. God of War didn't reach the mark. I think God of War is over 20 million units, right? God of War didn't reach that in the first month. In fact, they didn't, because they said how much it sold, in the first week, first month of when it released. Spider-Man just continues to sell, right? Uncharted has been like a long seller for a very, very long time. So, actually, let's look to the most recent example. They literally just gloated, Sony, that Horizon Zero Dawn has sold, or I don't necessarily know if it was sold. I'm gonna, I guess, maybe assume 20 million units since it came out, and they announced that literally like a week before, Forbidden West came out. So 5 years, took 5 years, and it sold 20 million. So it didn't get all of that in the first month. You know what I mean? So while I do think it's an interesting topic, it's fun to talk about. While I do think, even if you want to give it that Elden Ring took some of the sales from Horizon, that's fine, but I think Horizon and Elden Ring probably, but I'm just talking about Horizon here. Horizon probably has legs. I really do believe Horizon has legs. Also, if we've learned anything, not saying this is like a Miles Morales thing, but what we learned from Miles is it seemed like people were kind of waiting to get a PS5, and then once they got the PS5, they were buying Miles on the PS5, and they were waiting and not getting it on PS4. Now, yes, I know the game sold on PS4, but I'm just saying that was actually an okay amount of people that did that, and it's actually proven by statistics. You can look it up, and so maybe it's the same thing for Horizon. Not maybe the exact same thing, but maybe there's a trend where over the next year, as more people continue, right, 2, 3, 4, 5 more million PS5s, let's say, in a year from now, those people, say 1.5, 2 million of them buy Horizon. You know what I mean? So there's a bunch more sales that you're just going to gradually get over time. You're not going to get it right now. It's tough. I also, like, The Last of Us Part 2 is an interesting one, right? Because you saw these numbers, you didn't see numbers. You saw the number of it selling. I think that was the one they announced, like, in the first 3 days, it sold like 3.3 million, which was like a super high amount. And then they never have said, to my knowledge, they've never said, or maybe they said 4 million at one point, but they've never said a number since then. They did say at the end of 2020, it's like the 6th highest selling game in the United States that year, and it's this ranking game in the UK. Like, they said all that, but they've never given us a number besides 4, to my knowledge, of The Last of Us Part 2. Now, again, I'm not saying The Last of Us Part 2 was a disaster, but there were those rumors for The Last of Us Part 2, right, that it did sell well the first week, first 2 weeks, and then it completely dropped off a cliff. In fact, I have one more example like that. Death Stranding, kind of highly talked about. I believe that game sold somewhere around 4 to 5 million in the first month and a half, and then it literally, like, flatlined. Like, nobody bought it after that, and that was kind of like what people theorized, a Kojima effect, right? People that were into it got it immediately, and then, like, no one else got it, and no one else got it long term. Now, it was released on PC, and it actually did pretty well there, right? So I'm not saying, like, it didn't have any more stories to it after that. I'm just kind of saying initial, right? So you could say, well, why did you bring that up? Well, that's the other side of it. I mean, it's possible, but see, again, like, they didn't even announce. That's what worries me. If anything worries me, it's that they still haven't said anything. They haven't even said Horizon sold 2 million. 2 million, like, it's fine. I'm not like these stupid console warrior people. Like, if the game sells 2 million, am I gonna write a paragraph on Twitter of how, Halo sucks or Forza sucks and Horizon deserves it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not worth it. Again, I have it and I love it, and I'm gonna keep playing it. That's how I'll show my support for the game. I'm not, So I want to just keep that in mind. But maybe it could be perceived. Maybe that's why Sony's not doing it. Maybe it hasn't sold well. Maybe they want to come out and say, "Hey, the game sold 5 million." And so, like, next Friday will be a month, right? Maybe they want to say 3 to 5 million, and maybe it's only sold 2. These are just fake numbers, right? And they're like, well, we don't want to say after a full month the game only sold 2 million. Maybe that's lower than what Zero Dawn did. Maybe people then, again, complain or attack Elden Ring, or Elden Ring people laugh at Horizon, right? Whatever happens online, maybe they don't want that. I don't know. I don't know the actual answer, but I would assume right now that it's not looking amazing for the first month of sales. Otherwise, they probably would have gloated by now in terms of, we sold 3 million units in the first 2 weeks, right? I don't think that happened because I think honestly they would have said it. Does that mean the game was a failure? No. Does it mean the game doesn't have legs? No. Think the game will be fine. Maybe it doesn't hit, and I said this before, maybe it won't hit 20 million. Just like, Zero Dawn did. Maybe it'll be 10, maybe it'll be 15. And you could look at that as a failure or success, however you want to look at it. But maybe it does that. And is that really all that bad? In my opinion, no, it's not all that bad. So I don't know. Those are my opinions. Take them how you will. Let me know your opinions, though, in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow me anywhere else, all my social media, including our Patreon and YouTube memberships, the links for all of them are in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.